First of all, we're going to talk about what actually is a personal brand. Because it's really a buzzword, I feel like, today, and it goes around a lot, but not a lot of people are actually clearly defining what it is, so it makes sense to everybody. And second of all, we're going to talk about what is the importance of personal branding. Why is it so important to build a personal brand and build your reputation around the area? And second, we're going to talk about how do you actually define your personal brand. And this is where the fun really starts. And then the fourth is how do I actually amplify my brand? So after you define your brand, how do you actually do that to reach more people and grow your reputation, online and offline? Well, I just want to make sure this is recording real quick. Okay, so what is a personal brand? I'm going to start with this awesome quote by Guy Kawasaki. It says, brands are built on what people are saying about you, not what you are saying about yourself. So sometimes we think we're coming off in a certain way, but then our peers think we're actually coming off in a completely different way. Raise your hand if that's ever happened to you. Most of us, right? So building a personal brand is really intentionally trying to make the right impression on others. And this is a quote that I came up with, which is, your personal brand is a representation of your values, value, and uniqueness. The values being what you specifically stand for, what makes up you and your personality and who you are, and the value, which is the problem that you specifically solve in the business world and who you solve it for, and your uniqueness, what actually makes you different and stand out from the crowd. And all of things come together to make up your personal brand. Or this is how I've defined it. Okay, so let's say you're starting a new business and you've drafted this business plan. And you're like, you know what, I want to get some feedback on this. So you take it to your best friend, and your best friend, you know, he can be very honest. He or she can be very honest with you. Because they're always looking out for your best interests, and they may be like, you know what, that's a bad idea, don't move forward with it. But then if you take it to your mom's like mine, she supports me 100%. And she might just tell me what I want to hear, and she could be like, you know what, that's a really great idea, Alec. You should totally go with it. And then you take it to a guy like Gary Vaynerchuk, being the business savvy person that he is, and he's like, you know what, I'm really not that sure. You should actually talk to your customers, your potential customers, and see what they think about it. And that's really good advice. And then you can take it to your mentor, and your mentor's like, you know what, I'm really not that sure, but I'm going to actually introduce you to somebody who can help you, and you can get their feedback on that. What I'm trying to say is, all these different people are different. They have their own personal brands based off their values, what they stand for, their value, their level of expertise, and what makes them different. So really at the core, everybody has a personal brand, and I want you guys to start thinking like that. You don't have to be verified on Instagram or be a New York bestseller to have a personal brand. Everybody has a personal brand. Okay, so let's talk about people with really strong personal brands that they've built in the area of business. I have 3 examples: Oprah Winfrey, LeBron James, and of course, Gary Vaynerchuk. These are a few traits that make up strong, successful personal brands. They act intentionally, they live authentically, and they provide transformational value. So let's get into these. Act intentionally. They know exactly how they want to come off to other people. They sit down and they think to themselves, how do I want to actually show up for my friends, my family, and my colleagues? And they make it so they make sure that they really come off in the way they intend, and that way there's total congruence with the people they talk to. Second of all, they live authentic. You can look at these people and you know they 100% love what they do. And they live life on their own terms. And third, they provide transformational value. Oprah is an amazing talk show host. LeBron James inspires so many people. You know, he has a clothing brand, he's an entertainer. And of course, Gary with all of the free content that he shares on the internet geared towards, you know, entrepreneurship. So these are 3 traits to look for when you're building your personal brand. Okay, so why would you actually want to build up a personal brand? Oops. Because I strongly believe that your success in the business world strongly depends on it. Especially in 2018 and 2019, the competitive landscape is real, and how are you going to stand out? How are you going to build a reputation? Because it's so important. There to be so many people doing what you're doing. How are you going to actually stand out? And these are just 5 great reasons to consider building your personal brand. I'll start with control. People who have personal brands, they're really controlling their life. They're kind of calling the shots. They're doing what they're really passionate about, and they're not necessarily answering to someone, at least most of the time. You're going to differentiate yourself. Once you actually brand yourself and people know who you are based on your values, value, and uniqueness, you're going to stand out. Prosperity. Strong brands close way more deals than brands that look like commodities. Right? Strong brands have so much trust associated, so they get higher paying customers and clients. Or if you're an employee, you get a promotion. And visibility, you're going to be seen by a lot more people, especially if you're publishing content, doing events like these. It's going to make you stand out. And at the end, all of this is going to allow you to achieve more. Okay, so how do we actually define our personal brand? So let's get into it. And this has to do with your values, your value, and your uniqueness. So we're going to go into these one by one. Values. Okay, so here are some questions to ask yourself. What are the values that I actually believe in? Have you actually done a Google search and just searched the values and then actually picked the top 10 that resonate with you the most? Doing so can actually really help understand who you are as a person. And then you got to ask, do other people perceive me the way that I perceive myself? Because like I said, you can be coming across in one way, but other people think you're actually someone else. So this might seem a little bit scary, but have you ever considered actually doing like a 360-degree background check? Like putting out an anonymous survey and sending it to your friends, your family, and your colleagues and actually seeing what they think of you? And if that's congruent to what you thought, then that's amazing. But if it's not, then it looks like you have some work to do, and it's a good place to know where to start. And third is, can I share a story around who I am without sharing my profession? And to me, this is really important, especially when I'm connecting with clients. I don't want them to just know that I'm a marketer. I actually want them to know the values that I believe in and kind of what I want out of life, because that allows me to better connect with them and be more relatable, especially if a lot of these values resonate with them as well. So here are some of my values to give you an example. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll talk about a few. One is abundance. There's really enough to go around for everyone. And this is something I strongly believe. This is why I share so much information to help other people, and so are the other panelists. Because there's enough to go around, and just with that giving mindset, we're going to create more value and eventually receive more in the long term. Growth, always growing as a person. I think the meaning of life is continually getting better. Then what's the point, Always growing, and that comes with ambition and knowledge, always learning, being an expert in a specific field. These are all things that are really important, and all things I want people to actually know about me, regardless of really what I want to do. So think to yourself, what are the values I believe in? Get clear to yourself. And then value. Here are some questions to ask yourself, and this is very important. What problem do I specifically solve in the business world? And it's very important to get clear about this. And who is it that you help? If you know the exact problem that you solve in business and who it is you're helping, that's going to create so much clarity. And even more, what is the transformational outcome of my solution? After somebody works with you, what does that look like? That will better help you sell your value. So these 3 things together. What problem do I solve? Who do I help? And what is the outcome? That will create a lot more clarity around yourself and towards other people who potentially want to work with you. And it's actually going to help you stand out, because a lot of people aren't even clear about this. And fourth, what am I ultimately passionate about? Guys, I'm just going to tell you straight up. If you're trying to build your personal brand around something you're not passionate about, it's going to be extremely difficult. There's no way I can put out so many videos on LinkedIn about personal branding and put on an event like this, which took so much time and I'm losing money at, if I wasn't ultimately passionate about this subject, right? So I'm just saying, like, if you're not passionate about your work, then build your brand around something you are passionate about. But if you are passionate about your occupation, then that's amazing, something to be really grateful for, and all the reason to really start building your personal brand around that. And this is kind of a framework as far as a personal brand statement I came up with, which is I help specific ideal customer with particular service/offering to achieve end result. Let me give you an example. Mr. Chris Graham, amazing financial advisor, you guys. He helps business professionals and families with financial services to help them achieve financial independence. The value proposition is strong there, you guys. He knows exactly what he does, who he helps, and the outcome. Let's talk about Austin Schneider, for example, real estate agent. He's going to be on our panel later tonight. He helps business professionals with their real estate needs so that they can live in a place that they love, right? That's so powerful. If you can get clear about these three things, it's going to really give you an advantage. So let's talk a little bit about myself. We'll do a couple more examples based off what I do and really what my personal brand is built on, which is right now 2 different organizations. One is Product Blitz and one is Smashing Brands. With Product Blitz, I help small to medium-sized businesses with their Facebook advertising so they can increase their revenue. With Smashing Brands, the organization that put on this event, I'm helping entrepreneurs and business professionals with their personal branding so that they can land more opportunities in life. See how clear this is? If you can really make clear about these things, it's going to help you a lot, especially as you're amplifying your message, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And then your uniqueness. Questions to ask yourself. What differences really make me stand out? Have you really thought about this before? And some follow-up questions you can ask are, do I have a unique background potentially that makes me appealing? What characteristics really make me awesome? And last but not least, have I been hiding parts of myself that I should actually be embracing? And I have a feeling there's a lot of people in here that think they're not unique in some way or another. You are unique. You have a variety of things that make you you. So you really need to sit down with yourself and ask, what actually makes me me? And if you don't know, talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues, and they can help you out with this. But this is going to make a big difference in showcasing who you are as a person. Guys, I was hiding something for a really long time that made me unique. Okay, what is it? It's my age. I recently turned 21 years old. For most of my business career, I was 18, 19, and 20 years old. I was afraid to tell anybody. I was closing big brand deals, working with these companies, and I thought if somebody knew my age, they wouldn't trust me. They thought, he's just some kid, I wouldn't trust them. But when I was much more open about it, amazing things happened. I had such a positively overwhelming response. And more people wanted to support me based on what I'm doing at my age. So guys, you might think there's something that's holding you back, but it could actually serve in your favor. And even if it's not that pretty, it could better help you connect to more people who are going through the same things or have that unique part about them. Okay, authenticity. What does authenticity mean? It's really hard to define, and it's important to talk about because it's the hallmark of personal branding. It's really, what makes you stand out. Being authentic is what you should be doing. But what does it mean? In my opinion, if you know exactly who you are, you have your values on lock, you know what you stand for, and you're doing what you love by helping other people solve a specific problem, and you're doing amazing things for them, while exploiting what makes you different and awesome, I believe that's authenticity. Okay, so the last section, how do we actually amplify our personal brand to reach more people? So we've defined it, we're super clear. How do we actually grow our reputation and get more people into our network and just get more exposure in general? We're going to talk about that. here are 4 things to look at. I don't think they're the only 4 things, but these 4 are very, very important. And if you do these 4 things, you're going to build a very successful personal brand. And those are do great work, build relationships, create content, and create experiences. Let's go through them. Okay, doing great work should be the foundation your personal brand is built on. And the reason I say this is if you're building your reputation around your occupation and what you do, if you can't do your job well, then doesn't that defeat the entire purpose? Right? We should be continually getting better at what we do. You know, expanding our skill sets when we're building our personal brand, because at the end of the day, like if you're getting all these leads and opportunities, but you're not fulfilling on your promises because you can't do your job, then your reputation is going to backfire. So rule number 1, be really great at what you do. Second of all, let's talk about building a personal brand through relationships. Step number 1, take care of the people that matter most to you. So think about your friends, your family, your colleagues, your coworkers, all these people. They've helped get you to where you are today. And they're going to continually help you become successful. So make sure you're nurturing those connections and making sure those are going well. Second of all, find new valuable connections just by asking. So going to networking events like these are awesome. You know, you're going to meet a bunch of like-minded people. You know, there's some other amazing events I like Co-Founders Connect and Founders Live. These are all great, but you never really know who you're going to meet. Have you ever thought to yourself, who can actually help me build my personal brand and help me build my reputation? Just go on LinkedIn, search for Seattle-based influencers and be like, wow, if I could get coffee with them, that would be amazing. You know what's even more amazing is nobody is asking. Nobody is actually writing these emails to these professionals and these influencers in the area asking to meet up and learn from them and potentially provide value to them. If you do that, you're going to stand out. You're going to actually get these meetings. Just give them a reason to meet up with you. And then when you meet up with them, here's the kicker. They might want to help you, but don't lead with that. Ask how you can help them. That's going to go a lot further. They're going to be like, wow, that's amazing. If you can continually give value to these high-level people, at some point, or sooner than later, they're going to ask, what can I do for you? And when a really successful person says, what can I do for you? That's the whole goal. Not necessarily, but that's going to help you get to where you want to be and help you expand, vertically. So there's 2 main ways that I like to provide value to high-level people at this point in my life. The first one is offer to introduce them to other people in your network. So I'm sure you've built up a few valuable connections, or several. Offer to introduce them to other people. I love connecting people. I love to see what actually comes out of that. It provides value to everyone. For one, I just get joy in seeing other people become successful. I mean, that's just me. But at the same time, it's like you're really doing something for them, and they're going to appreciate that. And they're going to want to reciprocate the favor. And you know they will, because they're successful and they've gotten to that point by really giving. So they're going to want to give that to you. And the second is going to be, we can talk all about this in the content creation portion, but it's actually start a podcast. Starting a podcast is an amazing way to actually have an hour-long conversation with somebody, especially if it's in person and it's that much more personal. And you're actually doing them a favor too, because you're going to give them exposure to your audience on social media or LinkedIn or something like that. So it's really a win-win. But those are kind of 2 things anybody can do. Start a podcast and offer to introduce successful people to other successful people. Those are all things you can do today. And this just comes back to living your life intentionally as a giver. Giving to other people can be very rewarding, and it's a law by nature that the more you give, the more you receive. So building relationships, provide as much value as you can, and I promise you that will take you a long ways. Okay, content creation. How can I provide value to my target audience? There's a variety of ways. And during our panel, we're going to talk all about this, but I'll give you kind of a snippet of what's to come. For one, you can make videos on social media, like LinkedIn and Instagram, right? Blog posts and articles, starting a podcast. But I want to talk a little bit more specifically about how to do that. Brand, we know the value that we provide. In our content, let's actually answer some common questions that our target customer might actually have. For example, I wanted to build a brand around personal branding. So So I created all these videos on LinkedIn, like how to define your personal brand, how to network with other people, all these other tips that can actually help somebody build their personal brand, just giving away free content. And when I'm doing that and getting in front of a bunch of people, that's showcasing me as an authority since I'm talking about these subjects. So that's going to really help you get exposure. And all of a sudden, you'll be getting like messages in your LinkedIn like, wow, you made these videos, you're clearly an expert in this field. Can you help me? And Tim Salau's not here yet, but he does an amazing job at storytelling, which is making videos not even directly tied to your work, just sharing a life experience or something that happened in your life, an important lesson learned. A lot of my most important content on LinkedIn, as far as like my most popular, has just been me sharing stories like how I got into marketing, an important circumstance in my life that helped get me to where I am today. So don't think you just have to create content around business. You can do it around your life. Because when you share that, you're going to get a bunch of people to your network who want to just connect with you because of you. And then expedite brand awareness and value through experiences. So things like events, workshops, and conferences. So I have a goal to be one of the more recognized people talking about personal branding in Seattle, and you can see how big of a difference it makes to have a crowd of people here compared to creating LinkedIn videos. Both are great, but this is just another way for the word to spread around you, create more brand awareness, word of mouth, host events. This can be important. What is your occupation? What is an event? Okay, and after that, what is an event that you can help to help your target customer better understand the nature of your work or something like that? For example, personal branding. I'm hosting an event all about personal branding and what you can really learn from it. So think about what you do and what events, conferences, or workshops can you really put on. Not everybody's going to start a conference. I mean, it takes a lot of work, getting a lot of people, but just start creating events potentially, host workshops, see where that gets you. And the point is to not just do one of these, but do all of them. It's about fueling the fire, right? First and foremost, do great work. But then as you build relationships, create content, and potentially even create experiences, this is really going to ignite the fire of your personal brand and get a lot more people talking to you based off the value you provide and what you can do for them. I'm going to leave on this quote. The key to personal branding is capitalizing on what's special about you and then making it not about you at all. And what that means is do work that you're passionate about, that you thoroughly enjoy, while exploiting your uniqueness in the service of other people. Thank you.